Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I'm in search to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? All the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Snap Decisions. I, of course, am your Snap DJ, your host with the most, and I am late again, but, like I said, just might be an expected thing now because I changed my work schedule up, and so there'll be times when I can get it done on Tuesday next week now. So actually the next 2 weeks. I think I'm off Tuesdays. So I will be able to get it done on a normal day. And I also might be able to, because I'm off Mondays as well, depending on how my schedule goes, I might be able to bring a guest or two on, which will be pretty cool because it's been a while since I've had guests on to talk to. So that is the way my schedule lines up. We are already in the last week of this month, which is crazy. I say it all the time, but man, is this year flying. We're almost in August already. The summer is winding down, which is crazy. We had a lousy summer. It's been all hot, humid, rainy, mess and things like that. It hasn't really been all that good from a weather perspective, and not really much you could do. I mean, in oppressive weather like that. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, August is here, and before you know it, it'll be back to school for the kids and things like that too. So it's kind of nuts. Especially, me working in Staples, it's, they're doing back to school now. We have all of our sales and stuff going on there. I'm sort of seeing a lot of that, kids, students, teachers, whatnot. But anyway, we're going to talk this week about, well, first off, in the spin, again, I'm kind of changing things a little bit on the fly, and I appreciate your patience and all of that. But the spin, if there isn't something that comes up that's maybe a little controversial or something that's new in Snap that feels worthy enough to talk about, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit of pop culture. I'm going to talk a little bit of comic book news, maybe some movie news, things like, well, not movie news because I saved that for the MCU minute, but yeah, stuff that might be, out there in the land of pop culture, just kind of like I led off the show last time with the Ozzy tribute and things like that. And speaking of which, another cultural icon from the 80s, Hulk Hogan, passed away. Which has been, the talk of the wrestling world. And being that I have that other podcast, I had a long discussion with my co-host Jeff on that podcast this past Sunday about, the legacy of him and things like that. And so, it's crazy. We lost a lot of people in just a span of a few days. But this week I'm going to do the spin because really in Snap right now, there's nothing crazy going on. In fact, probably the most controversial things about Snap. Well, you know what? I'll talk a little bit about it toward the end of the spin. But what I'm going to do is, again, going with my theme of what I do, I'm going to include maybe some pop culture stuff. And this week, so on today's spin, I'm going to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. Because obviously, it's one of the biggest, along with the New York one, Comic-Cons of the year. And, I think more that's in the news about it this year is that the people who weren't there, rather than the people who were there. But in any case, there is news, and there's some cool news about some upcoming movies, some upcoming TV series, upcoming comics, and stuff like that. Now, I did find out some disheartening news about one of my favorite comics that I read every time I can, and it's been one of my favorites since it released, is coming to an end. And that's going to be, and I mean, I'll kind of spoil it, but it's of course the Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man title is ending after issue 24, which I found to be really crazy because it was such a huge seller when it first came out. But I mean, I don't watch the numbers for the comic, so I really don't know. Maybe it kind of dwindled over time. People lost interest or whatever, or who knows? It could really be for any other reasons. But that marks the second Spider-Man book. The other one is the one that is exclusive to the app. So that marks that, because that one ended as well, as I told you guys about last week. So that marks a couple Spider-Man books now that have gone away, just in the span of a couple months. Now I know, who knows? Maybe they're gearing up. They just restarted Amazing again, which they tend to do every now and then, but just kind of restarted that up again. And I have a feeling, we're getting Spider-Man next year in the theater. So maybe come next year in July, you might see the Spider-Man craze kind of start up again. There's some rumors about that I'll cover in the MCU minute later, about someone on Instagram, possibly, or a picture rather shared on Instagram from the director of Spider-Man Brand New Day, possibly could have confirmed who two of the villains in that film might indeed be, which was, one of them was rumored, the other one was not. But it'll be interesting if they are. I'm a fan of the second one that I'll mention, but I'll get into that a little bit later too. So we're going to start off today in the spin, and we're going to talk San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I have never had the pleasure of going to that one. I know people who have. A good friend of mine lived in San Diego for a good amount of time, and he was able to go, and I saw pictures and stuff from it and things like that. I have never been able to go. In fact, one of the places I've never traveled, and I've traveled throughout the United States, is California. I've never been to California, and so I have never been anywhere there. And but yeah, the one Comic-Con that I did get to go to was the New York one, which I went to quite a ways back. So I haven't been to one recently, but I always will watch to see if I get highlights or whatever from it, and see what's going on in the con, because it usually will have new pop culture stuff, obviously new movies, TV series, new games and stuff like that they'll a lot of times get announced there. So I'm going to look at it from, now this is an article. This is from Gizmodo. And this one lists 10 winners and 4 losers from San Diego Comic-Con. Now, my most excited thing about Comic-Con was the panel that they were having for they call it the Jason universe. Now, what this is it's basically New Line Cinema that owns the rights to Jason Voorhees. And, there hasn't been anything done with this character, honestly, in movies or anything since 2009. So it's been a long time. And it's because it was held up in rights stuff and all that kind of thing. But anyway, they announced the panel, and they were supposed to have some people there from the this Jason universe is owned by, I believe, the same family that owns New Line Cinema, who are the Barsamians. That I think one's name is Robert, and then the son are owners of this. So I was curious because they had announced that there would be there would be some reveals. There would be a trailer and stuff like that. So I was pretty excited for that. And I did manage to see it. There's some people I watch that do horror videos on YouTube. One of the channels I love to watch. And if you're a horror fan, I suggest watching him. He's a very, very fun channel. His name, the channel is called Slash and Cast. And I've been watching them for a little while. They're very good. They do like horror news every Monday. And then he'll do like video game play-alongs. In fact, right now I have him on YouTube. He's playing Dead by Daylight. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's a cool channel to watch. But they kind of broadcast it from their channel as it was happening. They were getting the news in from Comic-Con about the panel. And what we did get out of it, well, first of all, they revealed Jason's new mask. Well, that went over like a lead balloon. Because a lot of people just hate the look of it. They don't like the design. And it was designed by a pretty prominent guy in horror, Greg Nicotero. If you don't know who that is, he's the guy who does the special effects for Walking Dead and many other horror things over the years. And so, he also designed the artwork for the new Jason with the mask and stuff on. But a lot of people are complaining about it, said the eyes look weird. They're like square instead of, some people were saying he looked like Casey Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so they revealed the mask. One of the executives of the company brought it, but she did say, see, people on the socials just take off with things and they don't give a person a chance. She did come out and say that she brought a prototype. So it's not the final product. It's not the final thing. It's a prototype. It's something that he designed early on, and she showed it. And some people at the place were clapping and stuff like that. But, everybody else was kind of just saying, oh, this sucks. And all I'm thinking to myself is, I couldn't care less. All I want to do is I want to see him in a film. I don't care what they do with the mask. I couldn't care less what the mask looks like anyway, because a lot of times it's filmed in the dark and you're probably not going to see it very much. You'll see outlines and shadows and things, but it's like, who cares? I just want Jason back in a movie. So, and then they gave away masks to the people who went to the panel along with hats. And the masks they gave away are the ones they're going to be selling in Spirit Halloween. Now that one looked better than the prototype. So you can tell, like I said, people just have to have some patience. I mean, after all this time, 2009, at least we're getting some news. They're getting something. So they gave away a bunch of these masks and stuff, and that one looked better. And then they showed the trailer for the. It's going to be a 15-minute, kind of like a commercial for Angry Orchard, but it's also like a mini movie. And they showed the trailer for this, and it was about maybe 3-4 minutes long. But the movie's coming out in August, and I loved it. It was, again, it's the first time I've seen this character whom I love, whom I have been a fan of since I watched I think it was Friday the 13th part, maybe, I don't know which the first one was. It might have been part 4. No, I think it was part 3. It might have been the first one I saw in the theater. And I was infatuated with this dude. I have loved this character for so long. And and then I saw this trailer, and the trailer is amazing. He looks great. Yeah, there were some cool kills in it. It showed at one point he was jumping into a boat. Where this woman was inside the boat, he jumped out of the water into the boat, pulled her in, and things like that. I thought it looked amazing. And then they announced at the end that they are working right now on a new game, which is awesome because I love the 2017 game, the ASIM game. I played the hell out of it. I still play it today. So we're getting a new game, and we're getting a new movie that's being worked on as well. Not the series. They are filming this series called Crystal Lake. That's going to be a prequel film or a prequel series. I think it's going to be, people are kind of comparing it to a Bates Motel, which if it's anywhere near as good as that, I'll be over the moon because I love that series. So that was exciting, and that was probably the thing that probably excited me personally the most out of Comic-Con. But this is just some highlights from this Gizmodo article, who they thought were the winners and losers. The first one they said was Aliens and Predators. Now this is because there's a new Predator movie coming out, which is, in fact, I'm reading a comic book right now that just came out with Predator and Spider-Man. So a very, very strange combination. But there's a new movie called Predator Badlands, which is being advertised. They showed it in front of Fantastic Four when I went to see it again, which looks pretty good. You know, they're starting to do some different things with these movies rather than just have them be the same thing over and over again. And he's on a planet filled with a bunch of other predators, and he finds this android that he ends up taking on as his mascot. So it's kind of like the Predator's the main character in it. And it looks almost as if you're going to maybe be rooting for him in this film because everything on this planet is worse than he is. And then there is there's a TV, not TV. It's an FX show called Alien Earth, which I'm very excited about that. The last Alien movie was very good. I liked it a lot. And I thought it was kind of going back to the roots of the series, the horror roots of the series. That really hasn't been around since like the second Alien movie. The other ones were not good, and I didn't care for Prometheus. I know people liked it. I thought it was too weird, and I didn't really like it all that much. But I'm excited for this. You know, it's like the aliens now are coming to Earth, which I think is kind of neat and a cool premise. So I could see why they're talking about both of them being, you know, having a big Comic-Con because of those two films. The next one in the article, big winner. Wait to hear this one. Wile E. Coyote. After having his movie Coyote vs. Acme unceremoniously canceled by a certain corporation, I wonder what corporation that could have been, the Roadrunner-obsessed Coyote chose Comic-Con as the place to unveil the film in its new form. Now the film has a release date, hilarious footage was shown, and audiences everywhere are poised to enjoy one animal's quest to take down the major corporation that has failed him at every turn. I think this premise is hilarious. If you've never seen the Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner stuff, the cartoons, I'm sure you have at some point in your life, but if you haven't, it's basically because he could never catch Roadrunner simply because all these products that he bought from Acme over the years never worked. Every one of them failed. So now they're making a movie out of this where he's going to sue the company. I think it's hilarious. So I think this is going to be adorable. I think it's going to be absolutely hilarious and fun to watch, and I for sure will be going to see it. But I think that's amazingly cool. Another one is Project Hail Mary. Now I've seen the trailer for this a couple times with Ryan Gosling, and it does look like a pretty cool film. It's a sci-fi movie, kind of a doomsday movie as well. Ryan Gosling, it's based on the book by Andy Weir and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the guys who did the Spider-Man films. They were talking about this. It's a sci-fi film, obviously. He's Gosling's character is a teacher, and he ends up getting picked as a volunteer to go up into space and basically save humanity. All the suns are dying, and they don't know why in the galaxy, and then they're going to send him to a sun to one where the sun didn't die, to hopefully find out why that's the case, even though, you know, he has no experience going into space or anything like that. But it does seem like a pretty cool premise, and it does seem like I like a good sci-fi film, and it doesn't always have to be just the big franchises like, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, all that kind of stuff. I like me some good sci-fi. But yeah, this looks very interesting. And they said the gang was all there, as well as writer Drew Goddard, to talk about the adventure and screen almost 15 minutes of the movie. So they screened a lot of the movie. Lego, they said, was a big winner, but Lego pretty much has, they had a 200,000 piece Lego recreation of San Diego Comic-Con, which is fun. George Lucas, how about this? George Lucas of Star Wars and many other things, very first time he ever showed up at a Comic-Con. All of these years, with all the Star Wars films that were out and all the films that, you know, the prequel movies and all that kind of stuff, and this is the first time that he's ever gone to a Comic-Con. So he was on stage, packed hall, which was Hall H, which is the big one. Said it was like church. said he got a full-on standing ovation, and it was so awesome to see him. I'll be surprised at the reaction. He was with Guillermo del Toro, Doug Chang, and Queen Latifah. Lucas held court to introduce his Lucas Museum as a temple to enshrine the power of mythology. The discussion focused on the museum's intention to keep art accessible to the masses in a time where propaganda seeks to erase history. And the call to action was so incredibly moving. The panel felt like the crown jewel of this year's convention that really spoke to why we were all there, celebrating the pop culture we love that inspires us. I'm going to have to watch it. I hope it's out somewhere where I could see that, because that's actually really cool. Pennywise, the clown. Yeah, they're coming out with a new series called Welcome to Derry, which looks very good. It's a prequel series to all the It films. And they did show the clown from the movie thing, not the clown from the 80s TV show. That sounds like an old lady who smoked too much. Hiya, Toots. How are you, Toots? That's how the clown, that's how Pennywise sounds. But no, this is the one from the latest films. But it looks good. It looks very good. It takes place during, I think, the 50s and 60s. So a period piece, but it happens before the films and all that kind of stuff. So it looks pretty interesting, and I'm interested to see it. It's going to be on HBO Max, I believe. But it got they said got a big showcase. Andy and Barbara Muschietti taking the stage to share the opening scenes of the first episode. Exceeded our expectations for a Stephen King spinoff, promising a deeply disturbing series that will further the creepy spirit of the movies, complete with stomach-turning special effects about everyone's favorite sewer-lurking clown. Took place after 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, made us groan when we first spotted it in the San Diego Comic-Con schedule, but it actually made the moment feel more exclusive since it was held in a smaller room, more intimate as well. Peacemaker. They showed the Peacemaker trailer, which I think looks like it's a lot of fun. It takes place 2 months after the events in Superman, according to James Gunn. And it is showing, it's going to connect to that as well. So yeah, it's cool. There's going to be like another dimension, and he kind of goes over to that dimension because he gets more respect there. He likes it there better. So we'll see. And James Gunn, of course, wrote this. If you haven't seen the first one, it's very, very good. Very, very good. A lot of fun. Very funny. And it's a very good series. So watch it before this one comes out if you haven't. The Toxic Avenger is also coming back. I've never been a fan of these, but so many people love these films and have seen all of them. I have never seen any of these movies throughout the years, but it is very, very popular. And they said it had a very good showing at the Comic-Con. Interview with the Vampire. The Vampire Lestat may be a year away, but fans of the Anne Rice Immortal Universe were treated to a first look that rocked the con. And again, I've seen Interview with the Vampire, the one with Tom Cruise. Is it my favorite vampire stuff? No. But if they're coming out with something new with it, I'm always down for good vampire stuff. Clown in a Cornfield, the indie horror movie that already hit theaters, wouldn't usually get a splashy activation just to celebrate a streaming debut, but it's a very fun movie. Made sense that Shudder and AMC wanted to draw more attention to it. While there was no dedicated panel, author Adam Cesare hit the convention to sign copies from source material novel, and just across the street from the center, fans could walk through an activation that brought the story to life, complete with a genuinely spooky haunted corn maze. And then they had a couple losers, right? So losers were comic book movie fans. Yeah, so really nothing. And I had thought for sure, because Marvel announced pretty early on that they were not going to be there this year. So, because really they don't have anything going on other than the couple of series that they have coming. I mean, what are they going to show? Wonder Man? I don't really think that would have gone over well. So they probably really have nothing else to show. So they kind of skipped out. Now, I figured DC would want to do it, and they did. I mean, they were there for Peacemaker, but really nothing else. A lot of people thought we might get an announcement from James Gunn, like who's going to be Batman or something along those lines, but that really didn't happen. But it says, San Diego Comic-Con has been ground zero for the latest and greatest in comic book movie news. But it was basically deserted this year. 2 very cool films are currently in theaters, Superman and Fantastic Four. But outside of lots of cosplay, you wouldn't really know it. DC Studios president James Gunn was on hand for Peacemaker but didn't speak out about his current film or any future films. And Marvel, after screening its big summer release, Deadpool and Wolverine at the convention last year, all but ignored Fantastic Four. There was a booth, sure, but nowhere for anyone at the convention to see the movie without driving 15 minutes out of the way. And yes, we know both studios are in an off time in terms of release, with the next DC movie 11 months away and the next Marvel Studios movie 17 months away. But it would have been awesome to see or learn something. Anything, says the writer. Acme lost. This goes back to the Wile E. Coyote thing. In your face, Acme. You tried to get the panel for Coyote versus Acme shut down. You even tried to send in some of your high-priced lawyers to usher everyone off stage, but it did not work. Footage was played and excitement was peaked. Imagine being a company that wouldn't want to release a movie that looks so funny, smart, and appealing. Oh, Acme. And then lastly, there are two more. Tron Ares. Now, I'm excited to see this. I know the second Tron really didn't. A lot of people weren't really there for it. I liked it. I thought the graphics were amazing. And seeing that for the first, the original Tron came out in 1979. So there have been a lot of advancements over the years in the course. And so when Legacy came out, I enjoyed it. But I know a lot of people weren't satisfied with the way it went. But I liked it. And this, to me, with the premise that it has, where they are bringing the computer into our world, so the programs, all the stuff from the movies, their big ship recognizers and all that are coming into our world. I thought that was cool. Now, I'm always a little skeptical about Jared Leto. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure the guy is cool and everything, but a lot of the stuff he's been in kind of wasn't great. And especially with, he played Morbius. So a lot of this geek stuff that he ends up being in doesn't do well. But I'm excited for this. When I went to see Fantastic Four a couple days ago, we went to see it in 3D. And they showed a little snippet of Tron, and oh my God, I'm definitely seeing that in 3D. And so I'm excited for this. But they said it's a weird one because on the surface, the panel had it all. Big stars, incredible effects, and some really fun footage. There was even a booth on the floor with one of the most desired exclusives of the entire convention. But once the lights came on after the panel, fans had learned almost nothing about the movie. What's it about? Who are the characters? Was all very surface, which after the previous, much more informative and heartfelt panel for Predator Badlands felt like a huge contrast. Plus, while the footage looked beautiful, just seemed a little flat. We're holding out hope, especially with the sure-to-be incredible Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, but the panel left us wanting a bit too much. I don't know. I think they're just kind of waiting to. I think they're just kind of waiting to show what they want to show, and I'm okay with that. I want to be surprised if this is going to be the last Tron film ever made, which it could be. Obviously, that's going to depend on box office and stuff like that. But if this is the last one I ever get to see, I'm hoping it's going to be really good, and I'm excited. I'm excited for it. That'll be the next movie I'll probably end up going to see, which is in October. So, but I'm excited. And then they also said Jason Voorhees. Well, it's exciting to note there's fresh energy behind the Friday the 13th franchise. The Jason Universe panel was maybe one that could have been held until a later date. There just wasn't much to share beyond teases. Fans got a quick trailer for Sweet Revenge. That's what it's called if you want to look up that trailer, by the way. An upcoming short film featuring Jason's first cinematic appearance in this new era, as well as a very brief behind-the-scenes peek at Peacock series Crystal Lake, which is too early in production to reveal much. Perhaps next Comic-Con there'll be a sequel panel with more gory details to share. So that was the report on Comic-Con. What I would suggest you do, too, is if you're interested, go check out, because I watched this on YouTube just a few days ago, but go check out the upcoming trailers from San Diego Comic-Con. You'll get to see a lot of, you'll get to see the one for Welcome to Derry. You'll get to see many, many other ones, the Predator Badlands one, the Alien Earth one, but a lot of other stuff that was shown for upcoming movies and things like that. So if you want to go check that out, that is available on YouTube right now. If you want to get hyped up about movies and TV shows and things that are coming in the way of that. But if you've never been able to go to a Comic-Con, I would tell you to go. If you can get to the New York one, if you're near enough, or if you're close enough to San Diego, get to those, because not only do you get a lot of this pop culture stuff and things like that, but you also get video games. They'll have a lot of video games there that are coming out soon and things like that that you get to see or maybe play early. You'll get a lot of merch, toys, games, this and that get announced there. In fact, Friday 13th, they had a new Jason figure that's coming out. The NECA booth, who has made a lot of horror figures over the years, had some Michael Myers stuff that they're coming out with. A lot of superhero merch and things like that. Of course, from Superman, Fantastic Four got announced. So, and then also, and the reason you go is because of the comic artists. There are, comic artists that are there that will do commissions, that'll draw things for you, that are selling some of their merch and things like that. So, and that's another big reason to go. And then, of course, a lot of them will have like celebrities that will come. Now they've gotten quite expensive over the years. You could usually pay to get an autograph or something from some of these people that go, but they have the prices are so high for those now, like well over $100 and some for each person you may go see. And it gets, but it's fun. And the other thing you're going to see there is a ton of cosplay. And the cosplay is so tremendously fun. I saw one for Galactus. Whoever did it looked amazing. Comes walking in that big Galactus suit and he's towering over everybody. And you will see a lot of that. I got so many good pictures when I went of people that were in amazing cosplay. I had a guy dressed up as full-on Optimus Prime. People just dressed, one was dressed as Heath Ledger's Joker. It's just it's a lot of fun. And if you ever get a chance and you're close enough to go, I would definitely say to get to one. Because it is just a lot of fun to be able to say that you attended one. So if you can go, try to get to one. But all right, the second part of the spin is going to be a little bit of game news, and I tend to read the Ask the Devs stuff that they get questions to, and one of the questions caught my eye because it was about that taboo subject to Second Dinner, and that is bots. And I was I was kind of taken aback by it that they finally addressed, because this person who asked them two separate questions, and the first one was about the frequency of them, and about how, because apparently now the situation is they have gone away from you being able to recognize them because they are not now your same collection level anymore. So now that's been fixed. And so this person went on to say, why did you feel the need to do this? What is the real reasoning behind this? Because I just kind of don't understand. Like, it was kind of nice to know every now and then that you could just get kind of a free win. It's kind of what he was saying. It wasn't his exact words, but that was what he meant by it. And, I tend to kind of agree, like if you're struggling, right? Let's say you lost 4 or 5 games straight, you're really struggling, and you can kind of get a lot of it back when you play a bot. So, you gamble with the 8-cuber, but it's not really a gamble because you're playing a bot most of the time. And so you could end up getting a lot of that back. So it's kind of nice in that respect. Well, now that's been taken away completely. And they also said that the bots are going to play a little better as well. So while I think it was asked to Glenn, and while Glenn didn't really get to the meat of the answer, which I have talked about in this very segment before, the meat of the answer is, and this goes to, because people are also asking about collection levels and why people are playing such low my gosh, I was playing to try to get my Orca variant, and I was playing Conquest. Every single player in there that I was playing, and this is even in Infinite Conquest, were lower collection levels than 10,000, 9,000, 8,000. In the thousands. And I'm like, that's insane. But I think really what it is that they don't want to tell people that they're losing players. I think it's that simple of an explanation. I think they are just losing players. And I don't think they want to admit it. I don't think they want to say it because they don't want all these naysayers of the game that are not happy with the game to be able to say something like, "See, I told you so." And I don't think they want to do that, or to admit it. So, but I really think that has to be what it is. And like I said to you guys before, when I touched on this a little bit, the last thing they want is to have players have to start being put into a queue. Because if that happens, then this game is going to die faster than I don't know what. Because if people have to wait to get game matches, yeah, that's going to turn people off really, really quickly, especially those who are streaming the game, that are full-time streamers. And, they can't be sitting there with their audiences trying to watch and are waiting in a queue. So that's... But I hate this. I hate to say it, but that's got to be why they're doing it. There really, to me, doesn't seem a logical explanation, and the explanation that they were given didn't seem very logical at all to me. It didn't seem like it seemed like it was evading the topic altogether, and so they are making the game harder. They're making ladder harder. And it's, I don't know. To me, there must be a logical reason behind it. Because, like he said, who cares? Who cares if you let some bots in the game? Who cares? You get, you can get a free win out of it, and who cares? So, that's, it's kind of a nice rest. And it's also nice for players if you are on a losing streak and you've lost like 4 or 5 games straight. It was kind of just a nice thing to have to deal with. But apparently that's gone away. And so I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think at this point really anymore. All I'm going to do is just keep on keeping on, man. And I told you guys that if the worst comes to worst, then this becomes a pop culture podcast, and things are going to be different, and that's what it's going to be. But there'll always be games, and so if it happens to go away somewhere down the road, then we'll deal with it. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and that's what I'll close the spin with this week. And we are going to move forward in the show. And I am going to, up next, do my DJ weekly countdown. So, the countdown, and I'm telling you, I have a bunch of special effects for this stuff now. So, I am going to get those in when I start editing and things like that. I'm going to get those in, hopefully for next week. But I have my DJ spin. The DJ spin, I do an effect for that. And I have one for the countdown as well. So, what I'm going to count down this week, since I've now seen it twice, are my all-time favorites, or least favorite, as you might as might be the case in a list. Which I'm going to go from bottom to top. Fantastic Four films. So my favorite. Now this won't be a long list because there weren't a ton. But I'm going to give you my favorite Fantastic Four films as my countdown this week. I did not get any viewer call-ins, which I have not been. But I'm going to find a way to involve you guys in a different way going forward. And I think I had a little bit of an epiphany when I was coming home tonight. And also, I got to hand it to Snap on This, the group there, because they had a secret homework where they all talked about the things that make them happy, which I thought was pretty cool. I think Ree came up with it, and a couple of them were talking about music. And then Ben Roller put out a playlist kind of a thing, and I was like, DJ, music, yeah, kind of goes together, right? So I think the way I'm going to involve you is I think every week, on this particular segment, if I don't continue to get any questions or anything like that, which is fine, I'm going to do there used to be a show years ago, and this was before I was DJing. This was out on a local radio station, and that I used to listen to very, very faithfully every single day. I'd listen to it. And they used to have a guy that would be on there, and it was probably just a DJ making up a voice. But they used to have a segment on their radio show called Leonard the Lyric Lad. And this guy would come out, and he would kind of like have an operatic voice. But what he would do is he would read like a few words in his operatic tone of voice, like, I am Leonard the Lyric Lad. And he would read, and he would read some, and now here is the lyric for the day. And he would read the lyric in that voice. Wouldn't sing it, would just read it. And then what they would do is they'd have viewers or listeners, viewers. They would have listeners of that segment would call in, and they could win tickets or they could win something. Now, obviously, we can't do anything as far as that's concerned. But what you're going to do is you're going to get your name here on my pod. I'm going to shout you out. And, there's some accolades there. And, but yeah, so I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to be curious to see it. I'm going to make it available. I'll have a segment for it in my Discord. I'll make it available there. I'll make it available on Twitter, make it available on Blue Sky. So whoever is the first one, I'm gonna cite a lyric like that. I'm not gonna read it in an operatic voice, but I'm just gonna read it. And whoever is the first one to contact me via any of those means, I will shout you out. You will be my winner of the week, and you will get your name on the pod. And who knows? Maybe I'll figure out something else. Maybe I will. Maybe I can even, because you know what they would do is the people who would win, he'd actually have them on the show. So maybe what I will do is I will record a little segment with you and whoever the winner is, with you and myself, and I'll have you as a part of the show. And we could do just like a little 5-minute chit chat together. You can come on. We could talk about something in Snap that you want to chat about for a couple minutes, or something else. So maybe that's what I'll do going forward, because I can easily record a little thing and figure out how to do that. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do that going forward. I think that'll be fun and just another way to incorporate the DJ stuff in. So, okay, let's get to my countdown this week, and I promise I'll have my little sound effects the next time. So, here are the ones, of course, we're choosing from. Now, the first one, the Fantastic Four unreleased. I am not going to count that because I never saw it. I know it's out there. You can watch it on YouTube, but I have never seen it, and I'm probably not going to see it. Roger Corman did it, and it's very low budget, but I have never seen it, so I'm not going to. It looks very weird, and I'm not gonna see that one, so I'm not counting that. But we are going to count, obviously, the Tim Story one. So that's Fantastic Four from 2005. Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer from 2007. Fantastic Four 2015. Then, of course, Fantastic Four First Steps. So it's going to be a very short and quick countdown because there's only been 4. Now, I can go in and include the cartoon, which I absolutely loved. But they, again, they're not films. This is an animated series, as the one with Herbie that I talked about in previous weeks, which I loved. And but we're not going to talk about that. And for the sake of this, we're just going to talk about movies. Okay, so my number 4, ironically, Fantastic Four. There were 4. Okay, my number 4 is the one from 2015. This film was garbage. Terrible. It was the worst rendition I thought of it all. It was emo. It was dark. It was almost like a horror film in a way to me. And to me, that would have been okay. because I'm a horror fan, but it wasn't even good at that. Doctor Doom was the worst rendition yet of that character. He was exploding people's heads and doing like, what the hell? Like, I never understood how they could get Doctor Doom so wrong so many times. And this one was no exception. The cast was pretty good. I mean, they had a pretty decent cast. Miles Teller, Kate Mara, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Bell, and Toby Kebbell were the people that were in it. You recognize some of those names. But this was just a hot mess. And they tried to change it up from the other Tim Story ones. They tried to make it the ultimate version, basically, of the Fantastic Four. Base it a little more on the Ultimate books. But this just didn't work in so many ways. And 4 people teleporting to an alternate universe alters their physical form and grants them new abilities. So that's the origin story technically from the Ultimate line, instead of going into space and being hit by the cosmic rays. They must learn to harness their abilities and work together as a team to save Earth from a familiar enemy. The development for the reboot of Fantastic Four film was announced by 20th Century Fox. In July 2 of 2012, Josh Trank was hired to direct the movie. And also Simon Kinberg were hired to write the screenplay with a bunch of others. Casting began in January 2014 with the announcement of the cast occurred in the following months. Photography began in May 2014 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and ended in August the same year. The film was released on the 2015th. The film was considered to be a box office bomb. Received overwhelmingly negative reviews and is often considered to be one of the worst superhero films ever made. I would agree. Sequel was originally planned for 2017 but was removed from the studio schedule. This was also the last Fantastic Four film produced by Fox before 20th Century Fox was sold to Disney and the rights reverted back to Marvel Studios. So, yeah, this was just a mess. Like I said, the cast and Josh Trank got a lot of blame for this because they had said that there were rights upon rewrites and just a mess. He took a lot of personal blame for it. But I wouldn't care if I ever saw this film again. It plays a lot on Fox Network. I would never ever watch this movie again. It is not entertaining. It is boring. It is convoluted. It is Thing wearing no clothes. It is an emo invisible girl. It's just bad. It's just bad. And it's not even worth a watch. It's not even worth a waste of your time. And this is why I was so happy to hear that it was going back to Marvel, because this was just terrible. Number 3. And ironically, these are probably going to go in some kind of order anyway. The Rise of the Silver Surfer from 2007. For a couple of reasons. Number 1, first and foremost, Cloud Galactus. Now look, I understand why they probably did it. All you ever got to see was his helmet, and then you got the Cloud, and that was it. There was no man, there was no purple guy, but I get it. And I mentioned this when I did my movie review of Fantastic Four. They probably just didn't have the tech to do it, which I can completely understand. For back in the day, this was filmed in, like I said, this was done in 2007. That's 18 years ago, folks, and technology has greatly changed. So I'm kind of guessing that even the Silver Surfer in these movies on the board and stuff like that kind of looked hokey. The other reason why I'm going to say no to this one is Surfboard Doctor Doom. Ugh, God. Again, I will say, how do you screw up this character so badly? He rode the surfer's board in the movie. All I could think of when I watched that was Snake Plissken in the sequel to Escape from New York, which, by the way, now I find as a guilty pleasure movie. Escape from New York's a classic. That's one of my favorite movies ever. But the Escape from L.A., I mean, John Carpenter, I think, directed it. And I can even watch it every now and then, even though it's silly as hell. But all I could think of when I saw Doom on the surfboard was the scene with Snake Plissken on the surfboard. And I'm like, oy, as it... But how do you mess Doom up so badly? And they did. But yeah, this one was just not good. I mean, the surfer was kind of cool, but even that, like, he was creating holes in the planet where he was literally burrowing through the entire planet. And there was holes in the other side. It was just very weird. Yeah, it said the story, both inspired by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four comic book storyline, the Galactus trilogy. Oh God, it wasn't. Might have been inspired by, but. And Warren Ellis's comic book Ultimate Extinction features the Silver Surfer whose cosmic energy had been affecting the planet Earth and leaving craters around the planet. Set against an impending wedding between Reed and Susan, the U.S. Army recruits the Fantastic Four to help stop the Silver Surfer and separately gain help from Doom. With Fantastic Four grossing $333.5 million worldwide, 20th Century Fox hired director Tim Story and screenwriter Mark Frost in December 2005 to return to work for the sequel. Don Payne was also hired to write the screenplay. Principal photography began on August 28th of 2006 in Vancouver. Film was released on June 15, 2007. Due to 20th Century Fox disappointment in the box office performance of the film, potential third Fantastic Four film and a Silver Surfer spin-off series were canceled. It's probably a good thing. This was just not good. So it's another one that I don't ever watch. Even when it's on Fox, I'm like, nope. Now, maybe people have seen the new one will go back and watch some of these. I don't know. For nostalgia purposes, maybe they would. Again, I'm not going to blame them totally because I think they were held kind of down by the fact that maybe the graphics just weren't there. But yeah, this was a major disappointment for me, especially hearing that Galactus was possibly going to be in it. Number 2 is the Fantastic Four from 2005. Now this one, yes, it had, again, Doom was, in this one I call him Yuppie Doom. Because he was basically rich mogul guy turned into a metal man. But I call him Yuppie Doom. Because, he's transforming into Doom. It's not Doom wearing a mask. It's not, he somehow got his power from the same cosmic rays the Fantastic Four did. And it's just that, why, and I say this about Fox a lot, why mess with a good thing? Don't screw with the origins. Let the origins be what they were. Take your cues from the comic books that are older than you and just run with it. There is no need to change the origin stories. There's no need to do any of that. It's silly. And so that was, so first of all, there's that. They got hit by a space storm after boarding a space station, so they changed that around a little bit. And it was the cosmic radiation from the storm. They gained powers and abilities. And of course, Victor was on the flight with them, so he gains it. He got them too. Chris Columbus? Is that his real name? Was hired by 20th Century Fox to write and direct the film. Peter Segal was attached to a script which had been written by Columbus and Michael France. Segal later left the project the same year. Philip Morton worked on the script, and Sam Hamm did rewrites in 1998. The following year, Raja Gosnell signed on as a director. The film was announced in August 2000 as being aimed for July 4th, 2001 release date. Gosnell decided to leave the project to film Scooby-Doo. Oh, God. Peyton Reed served as a replacement in April 2001, so you could see it had a lot of issues getting done. Reed contemplated making the film as a period piece set in the early 60s during the space race. Now, see, that might have been cool. He later dropped out from the film in April 2004. Tim Story was hired to direct, and principal photography began in August in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, with reshoots carried on until May 2005. Starring Ewan Gruffudd, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis, and Julian McMahon, the film was released July 8th of 2005. When you go back and watch these, you can see how different times are. First of all, Michael Chiklis wanted no part of CGI. He's like, nope, I want to wear a suit. So they made him a suit. And they made him like a rock suit to wear. Which, being honest, made him look very, very small. The Thing is supposed to be bigger than that. Now, he's not massive like the Hulk, but he's still supposed to be. But it made him look very small. And almost human-like, wearing a suit, wearing a rock suit. It wasn't great. And the other thing they did in these films is they very much sexualized Jessica Alba, which was very weird. I'm very glad that Sue had the role she did in this Fantastic Four version, because it's much more akin to how she is in the comics. But they made her basically they sexualized her. They made her kind of eye candy, which didn't serve that well. And I understand. Look, Jessica Alba is very popular. She's a very attractive woman, so I can understand. But it just, you going back and watch it, it almost is like, ugh, So, but I get it. It was the first one that came out. Chris Evans was fun as Johnny Storm, which obviously you could see what that led to. But he was kind of fun, and the dynamic with him and Ben was pretty fun too. The jokes they'd play on each other and stuff like that. I mean, they went into it got carried away a little bit, and they did use a lot of humor in the movie. Reed Richards grabbing for a roll of toilet paper using his powers from across the hall. But that was the kind of smaller level, I guess, probably special effects that they could do. So while I didn't hate this one, I still didn't like the Doom character. I didn't like what they did with it. But look, it was the first time I got to see them on a screen, so I was pretty happy with it. And at the time, and they haven't aged well, and so so that's my number 2. And then of course, by the number 4, my number 1 is the new one. So my number 1 is the one that I just saw twice. Fantastic Four First Steps. Again, I'm not going to reiterate what I said in the review. You can go back and listen to it, but perfectly cast. I thought every role was played to perfection. Ben Grimm's role, Johnny Storm's role, Sue's especially, and then of course, Mr. Fantastic, Pedro Pascal's role. I thought they all did a phenomenal job. Galactus looked amazing. I could go on and on and on. I've already seen it 2 times. But that, to me, was the best of all of the Fantastic Four projects and films that they have had out yet. If you have not done so, go see it. You won't be sorry. It is a very good film, and Marvel now has had, to me, 2 hits back-to-back with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I really enjoyed them both, and I think Marvel's in a good way. They're in a good place, I think, and in a good direction. So there you go. So that is my countdown. My top 4 Fantastic Four films countdown for this week. All right, we are going to move on. Next up, we're going to do my DJ Week in Review. And my Week in Review, we are going to look at the Marvel Snap game itself, the shop where I am, and I'm not that much farther along than I was last week, guys, and I'm probably not going to get out of the 80s again on ladder. Especially now with this news about the new bots and things like that, I just get disinterested in it now. I move all the way from 60 to 80 in a couple days from the start of the season, but beyond that, I'm just not. Now maybe next month, because Galactus is coming, and the season pass card is Galactus, and I really can't wait to play that now. And there's a Galactus card back. Maybe I'll be more interested in getting there. But I've been playing a lot of Grand Arena. I will say I've enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I have both cards. I got Mad Thinker and I got Mole Man. Mole Man is fun, but Mad Thinker, I don't think I really see any good uses for him. I know, I think Safety Blade made a Dino deck with it, which I have seen some people playing that. And so, but I enjoy Grand Arena. Let's look at, I'm going to look at decks in a minute, but let me just go into the shop a little bit first. Collector's Vault, garbage. My Annihilus is not there. They teased me again. Oh, they released the other Annihilus from one of the other albums. Has now appeared in my shop twice. And I still can't get that damn one from that one where that Galactus card is in. I cannot get it. It never comes up for me. So there is that's kind of cool. Green Goblin, actually. Green Goblin bundle. It's a fantasy variant Green Goblin. So he's got like armor on. And he's riding on like a dragon. It's kind of cool. Cool looking card. Not a bad price either, $14. There's a Doom one. Doom close-up of Doom 2099's face. Didn't we get a card like that before with him? Oh, no, that's one of the ones that was data mined. And then the other Doom is using spell books. That's very cool. Justin Fields, did he do both? Yeah. Yep. But this is crazy expensive, $100. They have all of the Fantastic Four spotlights in today's shop. So Adi Granov, Invisible Woman, Human Torch. Mr. Fantastic is the Paul Mafion, because his Adi Granov one was in the collection track. And Adi Granov variant of Thing, which are all spotlights, and they are 2,400 gold a piece, which is too rich for my blood. And they have a Paul Mafion variant of Herbie in there as well, as long as a new Elixir. So that's a new album, I guess. I think, anyway. Let me go to my... Where are the albums, dude? That is not... Oh, here we go. Let me see if this is an album. I think it might be. But let me see. Yep. Mafion's Masterpieces is the name of the album. Now this one, if you unlock 3 of them, you get the Human Torch emote, which is just kind of... Now there is another Human Torch emote in the shop for the new mode as well, but this is a different one. The second reward is 2 premium mystery borders. The third reward is 4,000 tokens. And the final reward is the Paul Mafion variant of Invisible Woman. If you get all the way to the end and unlock them, you get that. So, but you're gonna blow a lot of money on these, because they're all 1,200 and 2,400 gold in there. So, Kid Omega's one. Mercury is one. They do have a Reed. He does have a Reed Richards. Prodigy, Surge, The Thing, and Zorn are some of the other ones he's done. It is cool art, but they're going to cost you. So the other one is that I Am Ivan fan. One stupid card. Annihilus. It's the only one I need to get my Galactus. Ugh, what a pain. I did get Orca from Conquest, so that's done. I finished that up. And yeah, so let's we're going to look at some... Well, here, let's go and look at the cards. I got that Orca variant. That is Zoltan Board's variant of Orca. Invisible Woman for Steps. Mad Thinker. I'm just looking to see what variant. I did get the Masterpiece variant of The Thing. That's the regular Thing, the 471. I got a very cool Spider-Man variant. John Jiang's variant of Spider-Man. Very cool. Very McFarlane-esque to me. With the foot up. He has a close-up of Spider-Man's foot. McFarlane drew him like that a lot. So I'm sure that this is probably a tribute. maybe to McFarlane's Spider-Man, but it's very cool. And I have that one. I got an Adam. There goes the weekly game crash. The weekly DJ Marvel Snap game crash on the DJ's iPad has occurred, and now we are rebooting, slowly rebooting the game, as the game decided to crash my iPad like it does once a week. It's like a weekly celebration. I should make it part of my show. I should have some music for when the game crashes, like womp womp or one of those noises. And I should take advantage of this because, I know that it's going to happen. And I know it's going to happen every single week without fail. So let's try to go back here. Okay, so I have an Adam Warlock one that I got, Envar Studios Adam Warlock. I did get Sam Nielsen's variant of Herbie, which looks like the Herbie in the film. I got a John Jiang variant of Ghost Spider. I got the Vincenzo Riccardi variant of Thing, the regular Thing. I got the Venomized Blade variant. My first split of the new base card for the Thing for Steps was a Bananas Thing, so that's a Womp Womp. And then of course I got the Mole Man variant because that's the one you get. The Mole Man is the one you get when you pull him, and then they give you the regular one. I don't know who did the art for him. It doesn't say. Oh, Dardo Studios. And then, of course, the base art for Mole Man, which is done by who did the base art? Oh, of course, Eduardo Mello and Ryan Kinney. And I think that was it. That's all the variants that I got. All right, so I'm going to talk about some of the decks that I played in Grand Arena. And the ones that I had the most success with were... Oh, crap, I think I might have... well, the two that I enjoyed playing the most was the deck with Mr. Fantastic, with all the ongoing stuff. But I found out very early on that all the games I was playing were coming against the Maximum Carnage decks. Shocker, when so many people love to play Destroy. And I see so much of it in Conquest and stuff like that. Now, I will say this, that a lot of the Destroy is being played by low-level collection players. So, if these are some of the similar people that I encountered in that mode, that could be why, because they're just so used to playing that they went that route. But because I was getting so many of that, and I'm like, nope, I'm stopping this right now. So I subbed out 2 of the cards, and I made my own deck, and I put in Cosmo, and I put in Armor. I'm like, we'll see about that. We'll see about this Carnage business. And I was able then to pretty much beat them handily by using both of those cards. And then, of course, just getting that one, like, humongous lane where you have... I think I had pretty much all the members of the Fantastic Four. I had Human Torch, I had Thing, but then you're going to have that big Iron Man lane, and you have Moonstone in there, and you have Captain America in there. It just, it's just a typical ongoing deck. Spectrum's in it, but I enjoyed that one. And the other one that I started playing more recently was one that someone came up with when you use Dr. Doom as your champion. They came up with an Agatha list. And this is brilliant because you play the Dr. Doom on your first turn, your champion, and he halves the cost of all your 6 cost. So automatically the computer Agatha will play down herself on the very next turn. So you're going to have a 14 on the board before the game even really gets started as your next card. And then you're essentially just playing big stuff. So it's very, very close to playing a deck of like Surtur. Very similar to that. Because you're going to have big cards in there. Cull Obsidian's in it. Ares is in it. So you're playing very similar to a Big Dumb Idiots deck. But I just thought that was brilliant that somebody came up with that to play Agatha. I mean, I'll try anything when that Agatha's in. But I had probably my most fun playing that deck. That's just a lot of fun. And then you got later in the mode, and I'm kind of glad I'm done, because then you got to the point where people were doing the Shang-Chi everywhere, and people were starting to play Clog. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you're seriously playing Clog in this mode. You're seriously playing Shang. Like, come on, man. Have some freaking fun. Don't resort to playing all this crap. But whatever. People are going to be people, and they it's win at all costs to them, and it doesn't matter how much you ruin the other person's fun. It's win at all costs, even though it's a silly game mode where you're only collecting points. But it is what it is. And I was like, when I got matched up against a player and they're seriously playing Clog against me, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me right now? Are you really serious? Like, yeah, it's a good thing I can't communicate with players other than by emoting, because honest to God, I would literally write them. I would write them I'd send them we used to call it a tell in Warcraft. I'd send them a tell and I'd be like, are you for real? Are you for real that you're playing Clog in this mode? But yeah, that's probably why they don't do that. But anyway, yeah. So I thought it was good. I have no complaints about it. Some little tweaks maybe here and there. The track of the prizes is a little tough, but it is what it is. But I thought that this was pretty fun. I thought it was something new, and hopefully they'll bring it back. But I thought it was a good mode altogether, and something different, and I hope that they'll bring it back down the road. So for this, to me, this was a win, I think, for them, and something I think they needed to have. But in any case, let me go to some other decks that I've been playing and messing around with a little bit. This one here just came out of nowhere. This is from KM Best's list of top decks. And this is just a plain old Darkhawk list. The Hood, Korg, Shadow King, Hawkeye, Merlin, Cassandra Nova, Red Guardian, Juggernaut, Werewolf by Night, Rockslide, Misery, and Darkhawk. Very, very plain old list, but he said that, this is the best deck out there right now where he is, which is crazy to me. But I played it a little bit. This one is now these are some of the decks to possibly play with Invisible Woman. This is from Alex Kocha. This is a Doom and Fantastic Four deck. Sunspot, Squirrel Girl, Hydra Bob. Read Mr. Fantastic's First Steps, Human Torch First Steps, Marvel Boy, Invisible Woman First Steps, Doom, The Fantastic Car, Blue Marvel, Thing First Steps, and Doctor Doom. So it's basically a Doom deck, and everybody kind of knew that people are going to play Doom decks with Invisible Woman because she works very well with that. When you activate her, she'll have Doom proc twice along with everybody else. So, pretty strong in that particular list. So I haven't played this one yet. This is probably the one I'm going to play maybe to end out the season. High Evo, which just keeps getting better with all these Fantastic Four cards. This one's Sunspot, Misty Knight, Adam Warlock, Mr. Fantastic First Steps, Human Torch First Steps, Makari, Cyclops, Invisible Woman First Steps, Fantastic Car, High Evo, Thing First Steps, and the Hulk. Pretty good. I've seen a lot of people playing that one, and it is pretty good. Cannonball Mercury is still out there if you want to play a good deck. This one is Havoc Human Torch list. I think I talked about this one last week. Kitty Pryde, Sunspot, Hydra Bob, Havoc, Thena, Mr. Fantastic, Johnny, Human Torch, Marvel Boy, Makari, Invisible Woman, Fantastic Car, and Thing. And then I played a little bit of Toxic. This is no Fantastic Four cards at all. Zabu, Surge, Scorpion, Luke Cage, Red Guardian, Diamondback, Hazmat, LaFay, Malekith, Anti-Venom, Man-Thing, Ajax. Standard old Toxic list. But it's still working pretty well. So those were the decks I played through the course of the week. And then we still have these Fantastic Four picks in our shops. The view cards list for me. I have a couple Human Torch variants. Kim Jacinto's Human Torch. Michael Comark's variant of Human Torch. The Art Germ variant of Invisible Woman. The Vincenzo Riccardi variant of Invisible Woman. Art Germ variant, Mr. Fantastic. Max Grech, Mr. Fantastic. Fear Itself Thing. Max Grech Thing. And Venomized Thing are the ones that I have in there. But again, you have to, they're 1,500 tokens a piece. I'm sitting at 56,350 tokens. All right, so there you go. That is my look inside the shop. And where I am. Where I am, pretty much right where I was. I am at 84. So I went up one level since I talked to you last. And I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to have time to be grinding. The only day I'm really off in this these upcoming days that happens before Monday would be Saturday. But I've got lots going on. That is the start of SummerSlam. So I'll be watching that. So who knows? Maybe I'll play a little bit. I'll see if I can climb. But we'll see. So, all right. We're going to move to Comics Corner. And we're going to talk about Invisible Woman. And as you know, from the other Fantastic Four characters that we've covered, you're probably going to know when she's going to have come about, because they're all in the same time. All right, so here we go. Susan Storm, the Invisible Woman. First appearance, Fantastic Four #1 in 1961. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Alter ego, Dr. Susan Sue Storm Richards. Human Mutate. Team affiliations, Fantastic Four, The Avengers, The Lady Liberators. Fantastic Four Incorporated, Future Foundation, Seven Brides of Set. Daughters of Liberty. Notable aliases, Invisible Girl, Invisible Woman, Captain Universe, Susan Benjamin, Malice, Mistress of Hate, Baroness Von Doom. Remember that one. Remember that one. That's all I'm going to say. Remember that one. Because I would just about guarantee that we are going to hear that name again in a movie. So just remember that one. Tabitha Denuov is another one. Her abilities, invisibility, granting, projective invisibility, self-invisibility, invisible force field projection, power to control and manipulate objects, generation of invisible energy constructs, generation of protective invisible shields, telepathic immunity, and flight. Invisible Woman is a superhero appearing in American comic books at Marvel, of course, like I said, in 1961. Sue Storm is a founding member of the Fantastic Four and was the first female superhero published by Marvel during the Silver Age of comic books. Wow, first female superhero. Damn. Okay, I didn't know that. Dr. Susan Sue Storm received her powers by being exposed to Cosmic Storm and was known as Invisible Girl during her early years at the team. After being brainwashed at some point, she decides to change her identity from then onward and to reflect a more confident version of herself. As a human mutate, she possesses two powers, invisibility and force fields. Her invisibility power deals with bending light waves and allows her to render herself and other objects invisible. She can also project powerful fields of invisible psionic hyperspace-based energy that she uses for a variety of offensive and defensive effects, including shields, blasts, explosions, and levitation. Sue plays a central role in the lives of her hot-headed younger brother, Johnny Storm, her brilliant husband, Reed Richards, her close friend, Ben Grimm, and her children, Franklin and Valeria. She was also romantically attracted to Namor, the Submariner, for a time. Invisible Woman has been described as one of Marvel's most notable and powerful female heroes. It was portrayed by Rebecca Stabb in the unreleased 1994 film Jessica Alba in 2005, and in the sequel in 2007, Kate Mara in the 2015 film, and Vanessa Kirby in the Marvel Cinematic Universe film First Steps. Since Stan wanted Fantastic Four to be driven by familial connections rather than action, the primary impetus for Susan Storm's creation was to not only be a full member of the team, but also the female lead, with Reed Richards being the male lead of the series. He eventually emphasized this to readers explicitly with a story in which Fantastic Four read fan mail denigrating the Invisible Girl's value to the team, and respond by enumerating some of the occasions on which she played a key role in their victories. Teammate Johnny Storm, Human Torch being Sue's little brother, became one of several sources of tension within the group. And she also served as center of a love triangle with Reed and the Fantastic Four sometime ally, sometime enemy, Namor. She was initially presented as the sole reason for Ben Grimm, a bad guy, remaining with the group, which was significantly toned down in the polished series. Lee did not want Sue to have super strength, to be Wonder Woman and punch people, so eventually he came to invisibility, inspired by works such as Universal Pictures' The Invisible Man. His original 2-page plot summary for the first issue of the Fantastic Four, reprinted in Marvel Masterworks and Marvel Epic Collection editions of the first 10 issues, handled Susan's powers similarly to the Invisible Man, which required her to take off her clothes, but noting concern that might be too sexy for a comic book. It also noted that she could not turn invisible again and would wear a mask recreating her face when she wanted to be seen. By the time the first issue was written and drawn, both elements had changed. Sue could turn invisible at will, and doing so affected the visibility of whatever clothing she was wearing. Probably a pretty smart idea, yeah? Invisible Woman had primarily appeared in issues of Fantastic Four. In issue 22, in January 1964, the creators expanded Sue's abilities, giving her the powers to render other objects and people invisible and create strong force fields and psionic blasts. Under John Byrne's authorship, Sue became more confident and assertive in her abilities, which became more versatile and impressive. She finds she can use her force field abilities to manipulate matter through the air, immobilize enemies, or administer long-range attacks. Sue changed her nom de guerre to Invisible Woman, so changed her name from Invisible Girl to Invisible Woman. In April 2019, Marvel Comics announced that it would publish Sue Storm's first solo miniseries, Invisible Woman. It was written by Mark Waid, drawn by Madia de Lills. Oh man, that's a hard one. With covers by Adam Hughes. It was later confirmed by Tom Brevoort, editor at Marvel Comics, that the miniseries was produced for trademark purposes. As detailed in the Marvel saga, Susan and her younger brother, Jonathan, grew up in the town of Glenville, Long Island, children of the physician Franklin Storm and his wife Mary. Parents left their kids alone one night to travel to dinner honoring Dr. Storm. On the way, a tire blew out and Mary was injured. Franklin escaped injury and insisted on operating on his wife. He was unable to save her. After his wife's death, Dr. Franklin Storm became a gambler and a drunk, losing his medical practice, which led him to the accidental killing of a loan shark. Franklin did not defend himself in court because he still felt guilty over Mary's death. With their father in prison, Susan had to become a mother figure to her younger brother. While living with her aunt, Susan, at the young age of 17, met her future husband, Reed Richards, a house guest who was attending college. When she graduated from high school as the award-winning captain of the girls' varsity swim team, she moved to California to attend college, where she pursued an acting career and encountered Richards again. They began to become romantically involved with each other. Reed, working with the field of aerospace engineering, was designing a spacecraft for interstellar travel. Everything was going well until the government stopped the funding of the project. Richards, wanting to see his project through, decided to make an unscheduled test flight. It was only going to be Reed and his best friend Ben Grimm, but Susan was instrumental in persuading Reed to let her and her brother join them on the dangerous space mission. In space, the quartet was exposed to massive amounts of radiation. As a result, they had to abort the mission and return to Earth. To the crash landing, they realized they gained superhuman powers. Hers was the ability to become invisible at will. As Fantastic Four, the team set up their first headquarters in the Baxter Building. The Fantastic Four encounter many villains in the early part of their career, but none of them contend for Susan's affections more than Namor. The Submariner. Sue feels an amount of attraction to Namor, but her heart belongs with Reed, a situation that has been called the Marvel Universe's first love triangle. Initially, her powers were limited to making herself invisible. However, before long, Sue discovers she can make other things invisible as well as create force fields of invisible energy. After she's injured in battle with the Mole Man, her father escapes from prison and operates on her to save her life. Franklin makes amends with his children before returning to prison. However, the Super Skrull finds a way to kidnap Dr. Storm, mimic his appearance, and then fight the Fantastic Four as the Invincible Man. In the process of defeating Super Skrull, Dr. Storm sacrifices his own life to protect the Four from a Skrull booby trap. Reed and Sue's relationship progresses, with the two of them deciding to get married. Wedding is the event of the century, with several of New York City's preeminent superheroes in attendance. Not long after that, Sue and the Fantastic Four encounter Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Sue later becomes pregnant with her first child. As a result, she takes time off as an active member of the team. Johnny's girlfriend, the Inhuman elementalist Crystal, joins the team, taking over Sue's roster spot. Susan's cosmic ray irradiated blood cells serve as an obstacle for her in carrying the unborn child to term. Knowing this, Reed, Johnny, and Ben journey into the negative zone to acquire the cosmic control rod from Annihilus. Effectively using the device, the baby is safely delivered and is named Franklin, in memory of Susan and Johnny's father. Due to the genetically altered structure of his parents, Franklin is a mutant, possessing vast powers. Seeking to use the boy's talents for his own sadistic purposes, Annihilus triggers a premature full release of Franklin's latent abilities, which were already in the process of gradual emergence. Fearing that his son could release enough psionic energy to eliminate all life on Earth, Reed shuts down Franklin's mind. Angry with Reed for not seeking her input in the matter, Susan leaves the Fantastic Four and has a marital separation from Reed. Medusa of the Inhumans takes over her roster spot. With the help of Namor, Susan reconciles with Reed and returns to Fantastic Four, accompanied by Franklin. So you see how they changed it if you've seen the movie. It's not Annihilus that was involved at all. Now, that's probably going to be a future film at some point, but it was Galactus. So they really changed the story around. Susan eventually becomes pregnant for a second time. However, the second child is stillborn due to Sue's having been exposed to radiation inside the negative zone. A depressed Sue is manipulated by Psycho Man into becoming Malice. As Malice, she attacks her friends and family in the Fantastic Four. Utilizing her abilities at power levels she never displayed previously, Reed saves Susan by forcing her to hate him legitimately. Susan does something to Psycho Man, causing him to let out a terrifying scream. After she rejoins her teammates, she states that Psycho Man will never hurt anyone ever again. She's profoundly affected by the entire episode and changes her codename from Invisible Girl to Invisible Woman. Along with Reed, they briefly leave the Fantastic Four and join the Avengers. During Infinity War, Susan faced off against Malice, who has reemerged in her subconscious. Susan absorbs Malice into her own consciousness. Subsequently, Susan's personality is influenced by Malice, causing her to become more aggressive in battle, even creating invisible razor-like force fields she uses to slice enemies. Her son Franklin, who has traveled forward and back in time, becomes the adult hero Psylord, frees his mother, and absorbs the influence of Malice into himself. He eventually defeats Malice by projecting her into the mind of the Dark Raider, an insane alternate universe counterpart of Reed Richards, who later dies in the negative zone. After the apparent death of Reed, Susan becomes a capable leader. She keeps searching for Reed, feeling he's still alive. Despite romantic advances from her old flame, Namor, Fantastic Four eventually rescue the time-displaced Reed, who finds himself temporarily losing confidence in his leadership skills since Susan is also a capable leader. There's a thing called Sue the Human Torch. Zaius, leader of a group of Galactus refugees, kidnaps her. His intent was to use her powers to hide planets from Galactus. Reed finds a way to fool Zaius by switching Susan and Johnny's powers. Susan assists an adventure where Johnny becomes a herald of Galactus. Wielding a cosmic version of her powers, Johnny is able to see through people to the very cores of their personality. Both Sue and Johnny gain a newfound respect for each other and how they deal with their powers. Reed tries to switch the powers back. The entire Fantastic Four's powers are granted to 4 random civilians before being restored to their rightful wielders. Parallels of an earlier torture by Doom, where Sue was given an extremely painful version of Johnny's psychokinetic ability. Goes on, the anti-registration movement for Civil War, World War Hulk, death, sometime after World War Hulk, but before Secret Invasion, the Richards family hired a new nanny for their kids, Tabitha Denuov. At the same time, a mysterious new group calling themselves the New Defenders commits robberies, and one of the members, Psionics, starts a relationship with Johnny. After a bad breakup, Johnny is kidnapped by the Defenders, along with Doctor Doom and Galactus, to power a massive machine that is designed to apparently save the people of the future 500 years from now. Plan orchestrated by Tabitha, who is revealed to be Susan Richards from 500 years in the future. Eventually, the present Fantastic Four are able to save both the present Earth and the future Earth by sending the future inhabitants to Earth's trust private duplicate New Earth. But after freeing Doctor Doom, the future Sue goes to apologize to him and is electrocuted by Doom. Secret Invasion, Future Foundation, Secret Wars. Alrighty. Sue and the rest of the Fantastic Four create a life raft that will save them from the coming death of the universe. However, right before the final incursion between their universe and the Ultimate Universe, Sue's part of the ship becomes separated. Reed and Black Panther plan to get her ship back, with Sue holding her part together with her force field. However, the death of the universe proves too much, even for her, and she, Ben, and her children die at the hands of Oblivion, with Reed screaming in agony at the death of his wife and children. Captain Marvel tells him they need to go, and they leave Sue's destroyed part of the ship behind. When Molecule Man transfers his power to Reed, Reed used it to resurrect his family, including Sue, and they began to rebuild the entire multiverse. Invisible Woman was later with Mr. Fantastic and the Future Foundation when they were confronted by the Griever at the end of all things. Now they're not mentioning Doom there, but that is the plot that I think that they're going to follow in Doomsday. We'll see if I'm right, but all right. Or I'm sorry, in Secret Wars. We'll see. Her powers and abilities: invisibility, force field projection. She's a capable unarmed combatant, having been trained in judo by Mr. Fantastic and received additional coaching from Iron Fist, The Thing, and She-Hulk. Critical reception. George Marston of Newsarama referred to the Invisible Woman as one of the best female superheroes of all time. Writing Marvel's first superheroine, may not have the highest profile of the characters on the list, but Sue Storm set the pace for modern female heroes. Yeah, that's very true. I just said I learned that too. I did not know that. That she was the first one, which is very, very cool. Wizard ranked her 99th in their top 200 comic book characters list. IGN ranked her 66th in top 100. There's some parodies in the Wildstorm series Planetary, written by Warren Ellis. The main adversaries of the team of superpowered investigators are an evil version of Marvel's Fantastic Four called the Four. Sue Storm analog is Kim Suskind, who has exactly the same powers as the original, except that she has to wear a pair of goggles to see while invisible. The daughter of a Nazi scientist and a lover of the Four's leader, Randall Dowling, Suskind destroys her opponents by rapidly expanding a force field inside their heads. Damn. She was in Robot Chicken, voiced by Emmanuel Cricky. In the fight against Doctor Doom, she turned invisible only to be hit and dragged by a car. None of the other Fantastic Four members found out about this. She later appears in Cat Dog on a Stick, voiced by Kate Mara, who would later portray her in a 2015 film in which she participates in Wife Swap. She switches homes with a normal housewife named Rebecca, while Rebecca gets vaporized by Doctor Doom. Rugrats introduced a parody character, Miss Invisible, in the episode Mega Diaper Babies. Lil also creates a similar superheroine in the same episode, calling herself the Dotted Line Girl. In the Simpsons episode Treehouse of Horror, segment titled Stop the World, I Want to Goof Off, there's a moment where the family is turned into members of the Four. Maggie is the Invisible Woman. Pamela Anderson appears as Invisible Girl in the superhero movie in which she has an affair with Professor X. Literary, we're going to talk about in a minute. Other versions of her: Age of Apocalypse, Age of Ultron, Age of X, Counter-Earth, Exiles, Marvel 1602, Marvel 2099, Marvel Apes, Marvel Mangaverse, Marvel Zombies, MC2, Mutant X, Spider-Gwen, Ultimate Marvel. Yeah, there's a lot. What If, whole bunch of what ifs. Television appearances starting from 1967 and going all the way to present. Films and a ton of video games that she has been in. So there you go, guys. Everything you wanted to know about Fantastic Four or about Invisible Woman, and of course, the Fantastic Four themselves. I'm very glad, like I said, that I got to talk about them, especially since they were, like I said, one of my all-time favorite comics. And I'm very glad I was able to share all that with you and talk about where they came from, the origin stories and all that. So I'm very, very happy that I was able to do that, which was very, very cool. So, all right, we're going to look her up in the Marvel Unlimited app. And we are going to talk about her in comics. All right, there she is. There's an ultimate version of her as well. Overcoming the loss of her parents, Sue Storm Richards took care of her younger brother, Johnny Storm. After receiving invisibility powers in a cosmic barrage, she co-founded the Fantastic Four and became their unifying figure. She is the Invisible Woman. All the way up to currently, she had her own book in 2019 and 2020. She's in Captain Universe, 2005 to present. Women of Marvel. Invisible Woman number 5. This is the 2019 series I just mentioned. Ultimate Fantastic Four. New Avengers, Earth X. Earth X, by the way, that's the one you are going to want to read if you want to find out about the future Franklin Richards and how he ends up using Galactus as his herald. You want to find out how powerful he is? Go and read Earth X, and that is all in the app. Girl comics, of course, all the ones dating back to the 60s. Alpha Flight, Fantastic Five from 2007, Avengers. Sorry, my allergies are getting the best of me. I got a little stuffy. Been in some Thing books. But if you want to go all the way back and read the originals, I would suggest it because they're very good reads and you're reading a part of history at that point too. So go check them out. And that's going to wrap it up for the Fantastic Four and obviously for this month in Comics Corner. I'm going to get to Mole Man, and I know I said I still owe you cards, I think, from the last time, but I will get to Mole Man and Mad Thinker at some point. So I will incorporate them. All right, new to the app this week and my pull list. I've already read some. So I told you I checked out that Predator versus Spider-Man book. That's issue number 1. 20th Century Fox, obviously co-producing that with them because Predator is their character. And I read issue 1. It was pretty cool. Kind of like a horror Spider-Man comic. X-Men 2024, number 15 is out this week. Some of the other ones I'll be getting. One World Under Doom I also read. It's the whole crossover with Doom being the head of the entire world. That's up to issue 3. I read that. Magic I'll be reading. Issue number 4, very, very good book. Little horror elements involved in that. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is out. That's from the cartoon. That's up to issue number 5. I'll be reading that as well. Amazing Spider-Man, which I told you guys reset again, is at number 2. And I read number 2 today. Always read those. I've been reading that since I was a kid and will continue to do so. Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk, number 5 is out. Deadpool and Wolverine, 2025, issue number 4. Infinity Watch, I've been reading this book too. This is up to issue number 4. New Champions is up to issue number 4. Herbie Infinity Comic is up to issue number 8. Astonishing Avengers Infinity Comic is up to issue number 23. And then we've got some reprints and stuff out as well. So it's kind of a light week in comics. Not a whole lot on my list. And I did read a few of them that I had already had on there. So again, like I told you, if you can't get to your local comic book shop and you are interested in reading about any of these characters that I talk about or their history and all that stuff, I would definitely suggest going back and reading some of these early Stan Lee books. You'll get a lot of knowledge from them, and I really do believe you will enjoy reading them as well. So go ahead and check them out. And if you do have a comic store near you, always try to support them as much as you can. You can grab some graphic novels and read a lot that way, I'm sure. So Marvel comes out with those really thick versions of some of their older books. They're like big compendiums of comics where you can get a whole run. I have Man-Thing's run of that, they're printed in black and white, which is kind of cool also. But you can go back and read a lot of these older books in that way. So that's available as well. You can usually get those from bookstores. Barnes & Noble, I know, has a pretty big selection of graphic novels and things that you could check out there too. All right. We're coming to the end of the pod for this week. Again, don't forget, I'm going to be starting my lyrical thing next week, which will be fun, I think. So get prepared. Brush up on your music knowledge. I can be taking things from the 70s. I won't go back super far, but I can be doing stuff from the late 70s through the 80s, through the 90s. Probably not a lot of present stuff because I don't listen to a ton, although I am into a lot of synthwave. I'm big into synthwave now. I heard Ree mention that on their podcast. I love it, man. I think to me, it's like reliving the 80s. And I love it. I have favorite bands in there. Gunship, The Midnight, and many, many others that I listen to. And of course, Elevate the Sky. Scott, the gentleman who wrote my theme music for this pod. Go check him out. He's coming out with some great new stuff. He's doing some things that's kind of reminding me a little bit more of 90s stuff. But he's also going to go back and remaster one of his earlier albums. So please go give him some love. He is on Blue Sky. He is on Twitter. And check out his YouTube page for all the new stuff that he's producing. Please do that as well. But yeah, so I will be taking lyrics from some of the. Now I'm going to take lyrics from some popular songs, obviously, because I'm not going to take out things that people won't know. Or only I would know and stuff like that. But yeah, get ready for that. And as always, if you have a question for the DJ call-in section, let me hear that too. I would love to hear it. Suggestions, thoughts, comments, please share them with me as well, whether it be on Twitter, my Discord, Snap Judgments Discord that I'm in, Blue Sky, wherever the case might be, hit me up. I always love to hear from you guys. Comments, concerns, whatever the case might be, please share them with me. All right, we're going to go into the last segment here, and we're going to go to the MCU Minute and find out what we got going on in the MCU. First one is from Screen Rant. MCU X-Men plans revealed. Marvel casting younger stars as rumored release date debunked. The X-Men movie just received a major update with a report revealing the casting direction for the film and its release. The MCU has been ramping up for an X-Men revival for years now, with plenty of rumors about who will take over the roles. Now in a report by Variety, pretty good source, sources say that casting will begin soon, and Marvel has indicated to reps that they are looking for a younger cast for the X-Men movie instead of A-listers. When you think about it, that's pretty smart because you want them to be around for many, many years And by getting some actors who aren't going to demand a ton of money, probably maybe right off the bat, that's probably a smart way to go. So the report says this decision is to keep costs down for the Marvel film as post-COVID movies have been suffering compared to previous installments. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm going to take a look at the box office for Fantastic Four. But, even though Superman and Fantastic Four are considered to be successes, the box office is suffering. People aren't going to see movies as much anymore. And because of that, you're not seeing these big billion-dollar box offices. Even some of them aren't getting to 500, they're getting to 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, which is considered to be pretty darn good now. So I can see that, and I can see why they'd want to do that. That said, sources say this July 2027 release date won't be filled by the X-Men movie, although they don't offer much more information on that. In other scheduling news, sources also report low priority for the long-delayed Blade movie or a possible Deadpool 4. Instead, there seems to be buzz about a Black Panther 3 led by Ryan Coogler. So there you go, some news about the X-Men. And then Kevin Feige kind of backed that up. This is from Comic Book Resources. Feige's saying that it will be youth-focused. So it's going to be a youth-focused reboot for the X-Men. So if you're expecting any big, any huge names, you're probably not going to get that. So you may want to change your expectations a little bit. Here's one. This is from The Wrap. Here are all the MCU movies and shows left between the Fantastic Four and Avengers Doomsday. Scaled back to only 2 and 3 feature film releases a year. With Fantastic Four steps in theaters, that's it for the 2025 lineup. So what's left between now and December 26, 2026, when Marvel's next major Avengers film comes out? Not much. Fantastic Four First Steps, obviously following Brave New World and Thunderbolts. So on Disney Plus, Season 1 of Daredevil Born Again wrapped up in April. Ironheart streamed in June. Only a few more MCU TV shows are coming before the end of the year. So what they have is Eyes of Wakanda, which is the animated series that is coming out on August 1st. Hits Disney Plus, but it seems unlikely that it'll factor into Doomsday, given it tells the story of Wakandan protectors throughout history. Yeah, so that's going to really have nothing to do with Avengers Doomsday. It's all kind of its own thing. Coogler is doing this too, so I don't know. The animation looks pretty good, but this comes out very soon. What is it? Tomorrow, actually. Yeah, today's 30th. This comes out tomorrow, actually. So there you go. Marvel Zombies comes out on October 1st. Poised to stand on its own with no bearing for setup. That will have no setup for Doomsday either. Wonder Man. This is a live action project. Seems to be the only project left in 2025 that has some potential to factor into Avengers Doomsday. Coming to Disney Plus in December, it stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Ben Kingsley, the latter of whom we met in Iron Man 3. Given that it's live action and many of the live action TV characters have made their way over to the films, this presents an opening for some characters to maybe return. Lest we forget, Kingsley's Trevor has history now with Shang-Chi, who is set to return in Doomsday. So we'll have to see how Wonder Man goes. He's not a hugely popular character, but it'll be interesting to see if it connects with Doomsday or Shang or any of that. The Punisher special presentation. We know that John Barenthal will return as Punisher once again in Spider-Man Brand New Day, but before that, he's getting his own special presentation, a standalone TV special like Werewolf by Night and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Previous special presentations were single-serving stories with little impact on the MCU at large, save for the Guardians Holiday Special that reveals that Mantis is Peter Quill's half-sister. But Marvel is clearly establishing the Punisher as an important character in the MCU, so at minimum, we suspect the special will have larger implications. That said, there's no release date yet. The special will debut alongside Born Again Season 2, since that show returns in early March, and Spider-Man Brand New Day hits theaters the following July. We suspect the Punisher is likely to connect to those projects than to Doomsday. Daredevil Born Again, talking about it, I think allowing a TV show to be a TV show is what we're returning to, so it seems unlikely that it'll play into Doomsday. Spider-Man Brand New Day, of course. This one, again, trying to ground Spidey a little bit more. Holland's name wasn't among those announced for Doomsday, but he was far from the only MVP apparently left out. Given the popularity of his Spider-Man No Way Home, he is, along with Deadpool and Wolverine, one of just 2 Marvel films to cross $1 billion at the box office. We'd be surprised if Brand New Day doesn't tie into the big crossover. The Vision series, which is supposedly called Vision Quest, we still don't have an official release date for this, but it's slated for 2026. And given that Doomsday is currently set for late 2026, we'd be shocked if Vision somehow ended up coming out after the film. Series picks up with Vision after the events of WandaVision. So, well, there you go. I mean, that is all the news we have. I told you it's going to be kind of slow now, because really all we have are the 2 animated series and then Wonder Man for the rest of this year. And then the beginning of next year, we're going to get, we'll get Punisher at some point in time, whenever they decide to do that. Daredevil Season 2. And so, yeah, so they're basically just looking to see what's going to connect to Doomsday. And the answer is not much. I don't kind of think Wonder Man will either. If anything, with Wonder Man, they might connect that to the X-Men a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, guys, there you go. That is going to be a wrap on this episode of Snap Decisions. It will also wrap up the Fantastic Four First Step season, which was a lot of fun. I like how the characters play off of each other and you can play them together in a deck. I think that's pretty cool. And listen, if you haven't gone to see the film, definitely go see it. You will enjoy it. It was very good. Best Fantastic Four film yet. Yeah, so go see the film if you haven't. Enjoy it. Obviously, enjoy the rest of the season, whether you're going to finish it playing the Grand Arena or whether you're going to try to get someplace on ladder. Good luck to how you are going to finish out this season. And I am just looking forward now at this point to the new Galactus card we are getting next month in the season pass. I'm excited for that. Since the Galactus we have now is all but pretty much unplayable unless you play him in like 1 or 2 deck types. But other than that, he just doesn't fit almost anywhere anymore. So I'm kind of excited that we're getting a brand new one that we will be able to indeed play. And he can get very, very big in certain decks. And it's going to just be fun seeing all these creators and deck people that make the decks and are cooking up decks and stuff like that are going to be making plans next Tuesday and are going to be on their streams. Just about probably all of them playing Galactus. And especially like the ones who love him, like Binks and Regis, are going to probably have a ball. I know I will be. So, yeah. So just enjoy the rest of the season, however you choose to play. Again, I am part of the Snap Judgments network of podcasts, which include, of course, Snap Judgments, Glazers Pod. Always a great listen with him and Roy. Check that out. They always have some very good players on there, Marvel Snap players that you can get tips from and deck ideas from and such. And, of course, check out Glazer's videos. Does so much work with them and in getting you guys the latest decks and, ideas and stuff like that. So check out Glazer and his pod. Also, Kier Nimbus, who I listened to today. Kier does a very, very good job and in going over the cards for the week, the newest season cards that are coming out, which, by the way, on my next pod, this coming week's pod on the spin, I will also have the preview and my rankings of the cards that are coming out for the Herald of Galactus season. My final rankings will come out, and I'll also kind of look back and see how bad I did at ranking all of the Fantastic Four cards from this season. So that'll be in the spin next week. It's the season's just gone very quickly, just as the month has gone. And man, I'm very, very excited to be able to be playing a new Galactus come next week. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and just seeing what everybody cooks up for him and the decks they come up with and things like that. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see. And also the other pods, of course, Kier Nimbus's Like I said, always does a very good short form pod. Very easy listen, quick listen. And Kier's just a great dude, so go check out his pod. And of course, Snap Won This with Ben Roller, and Lauren Whatevs, the host of the show. Always fun listen. And I know they're coming up on their 50th pod, which is cool. They're going to have a little celebration. I did post some questions for them in there. So check that out. Always listen to them. They are awesome. Of course, they talk about the new cards, their weekend snap. They always have the secret homework, which each one of them assigns, which I told you they were talking about things that make them happy. They sometimes talk about other games and such. And they also do some fun little things as well, like title tussle and things like that. So make sure you check out the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts. All right, guys, and you can find me on Discord, in my own Discord, Snap Decisions. You could find me in Glazer's Discord under Snap Decisions. You could find me on Blue Sky and on Twitter as well. Again, thank you all for listening to the pod. Thank you all for checking it out. Thank you for being patient with the changes. I appreciate all of you for doing so. And please, listen, send me those, any questions you may have, concerns, comments, whatever. I will always answer them. So do that for me and get ready for my new lyric game. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Might even take some lyrics from some old superhero themes. That would be fun too. All right, guys, that is going to do it for me. Have a great rest of your week. Please stay safe, especially those of you who are on the West Coast with that tsunami. Oh, man, horrible news that I heard about that, with that big earthquake hitting Russia and tsunami warnings in Hawaii. Again, stay safe, all of you that are maybe affected by any of that. Be kind to one another always, even on the socials, even if you don't know the person. And hopefully I will see you all and talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ signing off.